How we doing? Welcome back. This is Fox. In this little video I'm going to be talking you through how you can migrate a hard drive with an OS installed, all your applications and everything, and move it to a brand new PC or a new build. This especially comes in handy if, like me, your main PC is used for solely music production. Everybody knows how long it can take to install all your plugins on there, get them all organised, especially you could have 2 or 3 different DAWs like Ableton, all with plugins in different folders on this hard drive. It is a real ball ache if you have to go through the process of a total clean install and reinstalling all the plugins from scratch. So I'm going to show you how I have managed to do it. There may be other ways, but yeah, I've done this twice now. I've migrated the hard drive in this computer, which is my i7-6900K. I've migrated this from the last build, which I showed you in a video before, which has totally different specifications, totally different CPU, motherboard, everything's totally different. And it all went quite smoothly. There was a few things you have to do before you move the hard drive over. Definitely a few things you need to do once it's installed in a new machine. But I'll be talking you through this. Yeah, tell you how I did it. I'm sure it'll come in useful to other people, even if you're not using it for a music production PC. Moving a hard drive from one computer to another with your operating system installed is definitely something that I'm going to be doing in the future, especially now that I've got everything installed on this M.2 drive. It's super fast. Why would I want to go through the hassle of wiping everything and starting again? So let's get going. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to manually remove, well, I'm not going to do it because I've got it on here, but I'm going to show you what sort of programs I would manually uninstall before moving the hard drive out. So we're going to go to the control panel, uninstall a program. We're just going to have a look for stuff inside here which relates to drivers and stuff that on the motherboard that is going to be different when you swap it over. So obviously a lot of this stuff in here you're going to want to keep, which is Ableton Live. Me personally, this is my music production PC. I've got 2 versions of Ableton, a couple of games, Aura software. I would install that if I was using a totally different motherboard. This is the software that is installed that controls the RGB lighting on my PC, so I would definitely right click and install that. Dropbox Corsair Link, this is the software that is for my liquid cooler. If I was using a different liquid cooler in the new build, I'd uninstall that. EVG Precision XOC, this is the software that allows me to overclock my GeForce GTX Founders Edition. Again, if I was using a totally different graphics card, if I wasn't taking that, I would remove that. It just saves any conflictions, if you like, when you're swapping over. The computer's not going to be looking for these programs to run the hardware that you haven't got anymore. What else have we got? Intel Turbo Boost. This only comes with certain motherboards. Again, the Intel graphics driver. This is related to the motherboard. That would definitely have to go. Then you come down to the Windows stuff a bit further down. All the Native Instruments stuff. McAfee Total Perfection, that can stay. I didn't even have to re-register that. I was quite surprised. That just worked straight away for some reason. A few things I had to dive in and put some keys back in once it was reinstalled, but we'll talk through that in a bit. This Microsoft ASP.NET Runtime, not too sure about that. We come down here. Speedfan, Vengeance, Vulkan Runtime Libraries. The NVIDIA stuff, this is all stuff linked to the graphics card again, the 3D Vision, this all comes in the, I forget what it's called now, the NVIDIA app that I use. Anyway, this is related to my graphics card, so I would definitely uninstall these drivers. As I say, if you are definitely going to be using a new graphic card, just get rid of it all. All the stuff related to my music production I would keep. Yeah, that's basically it. These are programs. So there are drivers. If we go into control panel again, if we go back to the start, if we go devices, hardware and sound, device manager. See, in here there's loads of stuff as well that you probably are going to want to delete. Audio inputs and outputs, these microphone speakers. These are all to do with my music thing, so these can stay because these relate to my sound card, external sound card. This Bluetooth, I would definitely uninstall these. If your motherboard doesn't support Bluetooth, which my previous one didn't, I would definitely install the Bluetooth drivers. Computer disk drives, you're fine. Display adapters, again, this is an NVIDIA driver for my GeForce GTX Founders Edition. I know I keep repeating myself. If you're not taking the hardware with you, just delete it, right click, uninstall device. System firmware, I'm not too sure about that one. Focusrite audio, that's my external sound card, so that can stay. Human interface, these are all USB ports that are on the motherboard or the front panel connectors of the computer that you've got, so all of those can go. I wouldn't really worry about them, they'll be done in the Sysprep when we swap it over. Imaging devices, keyboards, mice, monitors, network adapters, you should definitely undo these. This is your wireless network adapters and your communication things, again, that are linked to your motherboard. Right click on them, uninstall the device. Processors, don't worry about that, that'll automatically be scanned. Storage controllers, system devices, yeah, don't worry about the system devices. Again, the generic USB hubs and stuff will all be taken care of when you do it. So yeah, mainly it's anything blatantly obvious, like your display drivers for your graphics cards, your Bluetooth and your wireless network stuff, your stuff that's related to motherboard. Really, just get rid of it, because obviously you're going to be changing to a brand new motherboard. You want to get rid of as much crap before we do this next step, which is the Sysprep method. I must admit, I found this method on YouTube myself. It's very, very easy. I've done it before without uninstalling anything myself, but it does help clear it up. It just makes this process a lot smoother. So now what we need to do is we need to go into the Run menu. So in Windows 10, type Run into this box here, bring up the Run program thing, whatever it's called, and in there you want to type Sysprep. I've already got it in there. It's SYSPREP. Click OK. This is going to bring you to this little window here. The only thing you need to do is double click the Sysprep application. So double click it, leave everything as it is apart from this bottom option. This tells you what it's going to do. It's a system preparation tool. Sysprep prepares the machine for hardware independence and cleanup. So this, whatever we haven't deleted in the step that I've just shown you, this is going to sort of detach everything from the hard drive with the OS on it. This is going to detach everything that relates it to the motherboard and hardware that you've got on here. So this is going to enter a system out of the box experience. So it's getting ready for taking your hard drive out of the case and put it into another one. This shutdown option is what it's going to do when it's done that. So you can either choose to quit, reboot, or shut down. What you want to do is shut down. When you want to make sure, obviously, you've got everything off your old computer that you want to do. Make sure you've got everything backed up, just in case it goes wrong. I personally have never had this go wrong, but you're going to want to shut it down when it's done. It's going to close the computer down. You don't want to start it back up again after that, so make sure you've got everything sorted. You want it to shut down once it's detached everything, ready to move it into your new computer. So you would click shut down, click OK. I'm not going to do that, obviously, because I've already done it. So once you've done that, it shuts down pretty quickly. The cogwheel will come up, it'll do some work, and then it'll shut the computer down. Then you are ready to remove the hard drive, put it into your new build. Obviously, as long as your new build is working, everything's connected properly, you shouldn't have a problem reconnecting your hard drive. If I were you, I'd disconnect any other disk drives or anything like that when you reboot your computer. So put your hard drive into your new computer, reboot it, and you're good to go. I have done this twice now, and strangely what it did on the reboot is it took me to the screen where you create like your username or your, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, your desktop user, that's what it's called. It took me to a screen where you have to create a new desktop user, so I had to create a new name. You know, where you log in at the start, you turn your computer on, your username comes up and you put your password in. It runs you through the process of generating that. It asks you if you're English, well, which I am, which keyboard layout you want, which password you want. You re-enter your password, and then it brings you back in to Windows 10, everything hunky-dory. But then you've got your original username plus the new one you've created. That's not a problem. You can always go ahead and delete the one that you've just created. I don't know why it does that, but I say I've done it twice and it done it both times. Don't freak out and think that something's gone wrong and you've wiped your hard drive and it's making you create a new username and you've lost everything, because you haven't. It's just for some reason it does that. It just makes you create a new user. If you want me to do a little tutorial on how to delete a username once it's done, I will. Please leave comments if you want me to do that. But yeah, first thing you'll notice when you do boot back in is all of the programs that you've got along your toolbar at the bottom, they're going to vanish. It is a bit of a ball ache finding them again if you don't already know where they are. I mean, most of the default locations will be in your program files, these here, or your program files x86. I'm lucky I do YouTube videos, so I know what programs I use all the time. I looked at my toolbar from my last video that I did in my old computer. I just went along the bottom, searched for them, and then dragged the application headers back to my toolbar at the bottom so they were there again. That's one little quirk that you've got, like having to redesign your toolbar. Apart from that, everything else was perfectly fine for me. I will quickly show you how to find hidden programs, especially if you are doing this for music purpose like I did. Ableton comes hidden away in program data. It is in under the C drive. It comes under program data. You can see this is not highlighted. When I did this, transferred the hard drive over, this program data folder is not visible. You can see Ableton is down here, Live 9 Suite, program, there it is. I just dragged it, brought it back down there, bada bing, bada boom, it was in. But yeah, automatically when you move your hard drive over to a new machine, this program folder is hidden. Now the way you bring that back up is in this, what's this called? File Explorer. In this part here, if you go to View, Options, Change Folder Insert Options, it brings up this little window here. In View, this is the box you need to check here. Show hidden files, folders and drives. It's very easy to find. Just check that. By default, it's there like that. Don't show hidden folders, files and drives. For some reason, the program data folder is hidden by default in Windows 10. Yeah, if you got Ableton, you want to find it, that's where it is. So yeah, you need to check show hidden files, folders and drives. Click Apply, click OK. Then when you go back to your C drive, Ableton will be in the program data file. So yeah, it's as simple as that. Just navigating all of your application extensions, or whatever these are called, start tiles. Find where they are inside your directory. Just drag them back to populate your toolbar like you had in your previous install. That's about it. I didn't really have much of a problem. I've done this twice now. One time everything went perfect. This time when I deleted all the stuff beforehand before doing the Sysprep method. The time when I didn't do that, it asked me for my Windows activation key. I'll quickly talk about that. So activate Windows. So again, I love this little Cortana search bar in Windows 10 at the bottom. If you type it in there, press enter, it brings it up. So the time when it didn't go right, it asked me to activate my Windows key again. This is an OEM key that I bought off Kinguin. I use it for my own personal builds, plus builds that I do for other people. For some reason, it asked me to input my code or my activation key that on the little receipt thing that you get, the little barcode. I inputted it and it didn't work. What I had to do was use that you can phone up Microsoft, you speak to somebody, they give you a code, you give them a code back when you input it into this little box, and then it activates it. It's really not that much bother. I've done it 2 or 3 times with different builds that I've done for people. It is a little bit daunting. It can be a little bit scary. Again, first thing I thought is, oh no, something's gone wrong. I'm gonna lose stuff because it's not registering this copy of Windows to this this hardware, but as I say, it wasn't too much bother. It didn't take the activation key when I re-entered it, but all I had to do was ring them up. They gave me the code, swapped it over, and it was done. Apart from that, everything went swimmingly. There's not really much else to talk about. As I say, the Sysprep method is really, really easy. I couldn't believe how easy it is. There's hardly any videos on YouTube talking about this. That's why I thought I would do it. Also, I had a request in PC Builders Forum, which I'm a member of somebody asking how to do this. So, yeah, it was nice and straightforward. So don't panic when you boot into your new machine if it asks you to create a new user. And also don't panic if it asks you to enter your Windows activation key again, because if it doesn't take it, just ring them up in the number it gives you in that activation box on Windows 10. They'll sort it out for you, and then you are done. The only other thing I would recommend is, again, this is specifically for music production people who are thinking of swapping their OS with all your Ableton and everything on, is I would take your hard drive with your samples on with you as well. It takes a lot of time to transfer all your samples and different sounds and stuff from a hard drive to another one. Just simply take the hard drive with you, unplug it, swap it over with a blank one if you're selling the other machine. One thing I will say quickly is, I'll just load Ableton up quick so I can show you. It may give your hard drive with your samples on, if you're like me, if you have a separate hard drive for all your samples and your sounds, it may allocate it a different drive name to what it was in your old machine. That can cause you grief when you're rebuilding your Places tab in Ableton, which is this section down here. How do I zoom in on that for you? Let's have a look. Add screen capture. Look at that magic, eh? So yeah, this is the Places tab inside Ableton, where you populate, or where you tell Ableton to search for your files and your samples and stuff. If you have transferred all your samples onto a new drive, it's going to maybe under a different name, and it may not register where these are. So you're going to manually have to add these folders in again. Go to your PC, locate your new drive, E or D, whatever it is, and just add them all in again manually. This may also cause you trouble if you have any samples in your default set, such as me, like this Falcon. This Falcon is my default drum synthesizer, if you like. It's where I've got all my samples stored in giant groups, all mapped out. Look, you can see now all of these samples are missing because it comes under a different drive name to what my original one was. So what I need to do is I need to tell it where those are. So you can do that in this section here. If you come into Ableton, this is blank, you can right click. When the words have faded out a bit, you can right click, navigate to where that library is, rather than repopulating it yourself. Right click, search for where it is, and it'll re-register whereabouts it is stored inside your hard drives. So I'm going to have to do the same thing with this Falcon drum group that I've got. So yeah, find all missing samples, devices, I know it's in E, I know it's in libraries, and it is the Leviathan pack. Click OK. It's going to re-find them all. This is my default set, there you go, it's found them all. All my kicks are there now. So what I would do is I will go into options, preferences. I believe it's in file folder. Save current set as default. So I'm going to save that now. Now it's going to remember now that those samples from that are where I've just told it to navigate to. So if we close it down, if I load Ableton again very quickly. When I open Falcon now, it should register where I've told it to look for those new samples, and there should be no error. So there you go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I didn't have to do nothing. I didn't have to reinstall the drivers for my Scala interface. Everything worked, my Logitech camera, all of the drivers for those sort of things that you know you're going to be using. External hardware that's not related to your PC that you're moving to, keep those drivers in. Yeah, I've been talking a bit fast because I didn't want this to drag on. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Please stay tuned for the next one. My next video, I'm going to be uploading the build for my new PC, which is this one, which I'm now using as my all-day, everyday computer. It's my do-anything beast. It's a i7 6900K, 8-core, 16-thread CPU. I've got 32 gigabytes of RAM, a GeForce GTX 1080. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Hit subscribe if you've came here for other reasons apart from my day-to-day stuff, which is sound design and ever increasingly PC builds. But yeah, please stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Cheers.